and eventually play themselves into the game.
Thanks a lot, Brendan. Let's hear from Waterford. Let's hear from Maurice Shanahan talking with Claire.
Maurice, congratulations. You were under big pressure coming in today with the loss of Cork Mahony, but you scored 1-9.
Look, Paudie's irreplaceable in our team. Paudie Mahony knows us, and that's who we did it for today, you know. We saw something coming on that bus today, and it was Paudie Mahony to drive us, and he drove us today. It's for him.
You made a nervous enough start, but your goal really ignited Waterford.
Yeah, we did. Look, we started slow, but Cork were always going to hit us hard in the first 10 minutes from the league final, you know, and we knew that. But this Waterford team never panicked, and we got the goals when it mattered, and at the final whistle we were winners, so we're delighted.
You had a bit of a knee injury as well, and did we hear you were down here practicing referees during the week?
I don't know how true that is now, but I had a knee injury all right coming into the game, but I got here thanks to the physios, you know, and I'm just delighted right now.
This is a really big win for Waterford, and now a chance to play for a Munster final.
Yeah, it's fantastic, you know. The league is gone. We're after forgetting about the league, and it's a Munster title now we want. But Limerick or Tip are going to be a different story again the next day.
Congratulations on your performance today, Maurice.
Thanks a million, thank you.
Yeah, he had a super day, big day for the Shanahan family, the big brother, happy with his performance and the performance of the rest of the team. Cyril, how big a win is that for Waterford?
You can't emphasise how big it is. That's a fantastic win. Not just the way they held the system, not because they won, but the pressure was on after winning the league, because everyone was kind of saying, well, the league is only the league, and Waterford were very fit, and Cork weren't, it'll be a different team, and you were playing against a very traditional team. You could see it early on, Dara, that they were nervous, but they didn't. Now, early on, they shot from outside, you know, wide, but once they got into the rhythm, they kept the middle, you know, they played the sweeper back, extra man. They had nearly 5 midfielders popping outside and working the shot passes, and then you had only 2 really inside, Morris and Bennett inside. But like, these players are very good. They have players to come on. Their game as it goes on from year to year will get better and better, because they're kind of adding a new little bit to it the whole time. And look, they're a serious team. They're better than any of us thought were, and I think they're going to go from strength to strength. They won't be afraid of anyone, really. Yeah.
Like, Liam, are we seeing the emergence of, like, not just serious contenders for the Munster title, obviously they are that, but beyond?
Yeah, look, as I think everyone is, the cat's out of the bag now, for want of a better word, definitely, when it comes to it. But I mean, the view as they got to the league final was that, like, they're the Donegal of hurling. This was the way they were being talked, to be honest with you. It is a defensive game they play. They scored 3 goals and 19 points today, and they had 14 wides. I mean, the amount of shots they're getting on goals is phenomenal, you know, to be fair to them. To create, like, Anthony Nash had a really good day today, and he needed to be on his toes. Whereas you go to the other end of the field, they weren't able to break them down. Like, they have a system. Everyone's bought into the system. They have huge admiration for Derek McGrath. I think everyone needs to have, because they were nearly looking for his head down there this time last year when they weren't going well and they were turned over against Wexford. He's completely turned them around. It's a credit to him, and it's a credit to Waterford. And I'll tell you, whoever does win the other semi-final, these boys are a serious team. You know, we all probably expected the traditional Cork to come up to Thurles on Championship Day, like they've done so many times before, and turn their league form upside down. And when they started at 6 points to 2 after 20 minutes, we all thought, well, the script is written here. Waterford didn't. And they had a nervous start. They didn't panic, and they came back really strong and delivered a fine performance. Like, that's a massive thing. You know, you can teach fellas and whoever's playing anything. You can't teach somebody not to panic. Correct. And there's so many young lads in that team, and of course you have the experienced lads as well. Yeah. But to not panic, and several times Cork came at them really strongly, but they were able to
as Liam says, they got the start that Cork were looking for. Yeah. Kind of on top, hurling well. Probably should be more up. Waterford they had their system working, and they got the goals, Dara. The goals you can't emphasise before half time. They're only a point up going in. Lucky to be that point up, I thought, but like, the goals changed the game. It gave them that belief again. And then they started working the sharp ball, and they weren't taking the shot now until the real option was on. Oh, they didn't score the whole time. But as Liam referred to there, they got 3-19. That's a lot, and Nash had a brilliant game. Like, Cork aren't a bad team, but like, looking at it, look at underage success. Cork haven't had that for the last few years. Waterford had, and they have young fellas coming. Now you look at June Bennett coming on there today, like, you know, doing his leaving cert. This guy is, you know, he's faster than the brother. They're both very good, you know, but you know, they're the future. Like, all these young guys coming through, like, you know, so Gleeson coming through, Tide the Burka. These are new names. Full back, he's a fantastic releaser. Barry Coughlin, out of the blue. No one ever heard of him outside of Waterford. Next thing, he's kind of a regular full back. So, like, as Liam says there, like, to me, they're the form team in the country. They're the unbeaten team coming through the whole year, and they're still unbeaten. And if they can keep their feet on the ground, which they will, management doing a great job. They're serious contenders, as you say, not only for the Munster title, but for the All-Ireland.
Did Cork have to change too many things to compete with them in the way they did today?
Cork were disappointed, you know, after such a great start. I mean, they were doing, to me, they looked to be doing everything right in the first 20 minutes. They were they were ferocious in the tackle up front. They were starting to turn over Waterford. They had Waterford upset. They took them out of their rhythm. And I suppose that was always the question, can someone take Waterford out of the rhythm? Because they get comfortable in the rhythm. But, like, you know, they just petered out. To be honest with you, like, they're a team that completely lacked leadership in that second half. They had no one to stand up and take the game by the scruff of the neck. And I think they're, you know, when you go back to the guys like the Ronan Kearns and all these guys, Patrick Cronin was probably the only guy in that team that stood up. I think it was 5 points in play.
And he wouldn't have been on at all.
He was under pressure to justify his selection, and he came in and he done that. But I mean, Patrick Horgan, Conor Lehan, we're seeing flashes of it. But like, if they're to be serious contenders and trying to come through the back door, therefore then are really going to have to look at themselves and up their game. And likewise, I just felt throughout the field they lack belief, and I don't really see them as All-Ireland contenders.
What Lee was hitting at there, if you compare that set to the Brick Welsh, did his work, took the right options, carried the ball to get the frees, made the perfect passes, fitting in Kevin Moran, fitting into a young scheme of things. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're the leaders, and they are standing up when things are going wrong. Moran stood up when it was going wrong. Welch did in his own way. When things are going wrong, like Gleeson putting them wide, Morris missing a few free. You know what I mean? And the next thing, once they hold the cool and keep coming, they're believing in the system. When they played Tip, Dara, in the league semi-final, first 15 minutes they went back traditional. And they were down 2-3, I think, to 2 points after 12 or 30 minutes. And Derek McGrath went back to his system again, and they clawed it back. And like, since that, they're not going to change. Now, someone else, Cork tried it today, but it'd be very interesting for me if someone comes up with a system, say, to mark their sweeper. And you to crowd midfield. In other words, like, and you have the space. Like, Waterford had terrible space. It was okay when it was working Cork 1-1, but when the ball broke down, there's terrible space up front where Waterford needed, and they were creating goal chances. They could have got 2 or 3 more. Only for Nash playing brilliant stuff, there was 2 or 3 more goals on.
Yeah, because look, the penalty at the end. Like, how did Waterford let Cork get so close at the end when they really shouldn't have?
No, I mean, you know, to think that they were 2 points down when the sign goes up for 4 minutes injury time. I mean, it was a nervous finish. You know, to be fair to them, and like, you know, it all came from a long ball that Conor Lehan had a wonderful catch and was brought down, but there wasn't enough of that, you know. And as I said, they just didn't find any pattern of play in that second half. I always felt like Waterford came straight out of the blocks after half time. They were a point up, 3 points straight away, and they set the tempos for that second half, and they never really looked like being threatened. It would have been a complete injustice if Cork had to turn the game over. And again, like, they had a silly sending off again. You know, you just can't raise your hurley. I mean, at the time where, you know, after 15 against 15 and they had the extra man in, who knows what would have happened. But Luca Farrell would be disappointed. But overall, Jimmy Barry will be very disappointed.
Well, let's hear from the Cork manager, Jimmy Barry Murphy. He's talking to Claire.
Jimmy, I suppose 3 Waterford goals tells the story.
Yeah, certainly in the first half when we had a bit of momentum going with us and got some good scores to go into a lead. They got 2 great goals in fairness to them, and you know, that knocked us back a good bit. It took a lot of hard work to get back into the game again, and as you say, it's quite obvious they were crucial.
Your defence exposed like that, that's obviously a concern.
Well, you know, they're good at what they do, and you'd have to admire the scores they got. I thought in the first half, when we had the game going with us a bit, we hit some poor wides, and maybe if we'd got those, it would have built our confidence and knocked them back a bit, but we didn't take our chances in the first half when we were a bit on top, I thought.
Yeah, because you started so well. We saw great determination and an intensity, I suppose, that we didn't see here 5 weeks ago.
Well, a lot of people question the players in relation to their commitment and attitude and all that, but I mean, they've been fantastic for us over the last couple of years, and, you know, you get days, I mean, we've all had bad days, and I said to the players for the game all week and asked them to give it everything they had, and they certainly did that today again, I thought. And there's no fault whatsoever in that department. We've got to admit that Waterford got the goals and they're the better team on the day.
Having said that, I suppose with the penalty, you almost came right back into it there.
Yeah, it was great to get a goal. It gave us a great lift, but it was a bit late in the day. I think when the game was in the melting pot early in the first half, we needed something like that to give us a lift at that stage. And as I said already, when we were on top in the first half, we didn't take our chances, I think.
You needed the goals earlier, obviously, and did you think you just needed more leaders on your team?
No, I think the lads gave it everything. I mean, obviously, as I said, when you're beaten, you're going to find players who had an off day or whatever, but I couldn't fault the players' attitudes today, and I just thank them enough for what they've done for us.
It's a setback for you, Jimmy. Obviously, you needed the win after the league final. What's your assessment now for Cork are as you head down the qualifier route?
Well, it's a hard route, obviously. I mean, you've seen the qualifiers already. It's going to be very, very difficult. We've got to rebuild. We'll keep going, but don't worry. You're beaten, and just to get up and fight another day. That's what your job has got to do, and we'll always keep fighting in Cork.
Can you pick the players up, and do you think you can have a say in the championship?
Well, that's our job. It's difficult, and we know where we're at in the pecking order, and it's a difficult road. But we'll certainly won't be lying down. We'll give it everything we have to try and get back on the track again.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Thanks.
Well, Jimmy Barry Murphy clearly hurting, and he referenced, Cyril, about the time they needed goals in the first half. You go back to after 21 minutes, Cork were leading 6 points to 2. And then, 5 minutes later, the thing changed with the first of the Waterford goals. They'd gone well, but they needed a bigger margin.
What he's trying to say, they were on top. If they got a goal at that stage, it'd be won 6-2.
Yeah.
3, you know what I mean? They needed the goals and Waterford got them. But the point is, like, to me, Waterford are further down the road because this team is developing the whole time. They came from Division 1B last year where they were beaten every match. They were there again this year. They developed that system and they kept playing that system all through. In actual fact, the same 6 backs and the goalie played in every game. Now today it'd be the same team, only Pádraig Mahoney was out injured, and Morris stood up to the freeze, and young Bennett came on. They've been at him all year to play, and he's not too he's an easygoing guy. He's in school, and they weren't getting him. Like, he didn't mind whether he played or not, and he said he don't mind whether he won. He's that kind of a guy. Yeah. You have to get him on the big day. He's going back to Leavesor tomorrow, but they get that kind of coolness, I think, from the father. Pat Bennett, who's a top coach, kind of behind the scenes there, not a word about it. But these guys are good hurlers and they believe in themselves, and I think they'll go from strength to strength. Okay, Jim Barry Murphy, he'd be disappointed there, but if they get a home draw in the round robin, to get in, they're capable of, on a good day, of beating anyone as well. Like, they were lucky to be only 2 points down near the end there. To be a travesty if they got,
Manager here is the Waterford boss, Derek McGrath with Clare.
Derek, you're unbeaten this year. You must be doing something right.
Yeah, we're just working hard. I think that's the ethos that most other teams are doing as well. We're just working very hard and very together and unified, if you like. But that's all we're really doing. There's no real secret to it. I think, Cork have 51 Munster championships. They have 30 All-Irelands, where ours is sparse next to that. So we just have a hunger to try and do our best, and we're trying to improve every day we go out, A
lot of people are worried how you would cope with the loss of Pádraig Mahoney, but Maurice Shanahan stepped up with 1-9 today.
Yeah, and that's what you'd expect, I suppose. Look, there was probably a lot of scrutiny beforehand in terms of, so we were just, as I said, he probably would have been in good company if he'd missed a couple, because, well-known free takers have missed a couple over the last few weeks, so we'd every faith in him, and delighted for Maurice himself personally. It's great to see him playing so well, and a year's a long time in sport.
It took you a while to grow into the game, I suppose, but once you did, the goal's obviously vital, and then there was a lot of composure and calmness, and you've got a few young players in that team.
Yeah, very young. Like, obviously, we actually felt that the first 10-15 minutes would be quite difficult in terms of, obviously, the way we're playing. We felt Cork might push up on us, and things like Mark Ellis getting a point where obviously Cork were pushing up on us. It looked like their game plan was working, if you like, but I think we settled into it midway through the first half, if you like, and the game seemed to take off for us from there. Space seemed to open up in behind, so we were glad we could have been another. We were thinking we could have been another 4 or 5 points up at half time, but look, we're just delighted to be in a Munster final. It's a great progress for us, and we've worked very hard to be there, and our summer is set up, if you like, and it's up to us now to go and grab it, And
of course, a nervous finish potentially there, but again, there was a calmness there.
Yeah, look, I think you're dealing with a level of intelligence, not that it wasn't previously on Waterford, but very, very steady lads. There's no case of, people probably analyse in the run up to the game in terms of the difference in league and championship, etc. And it's very difficult to remotivate a team for 5 weeks down the line when we were actually carrying. We were saying that the league was everything to us, and it was. But the boys have done a great job themselves and they're just steady lads. Good family backgrounds and nice lads. So pleasure to work with them, I have to say.
And back-to-back wins over Cork. It's a nice way to be going into a Munster final.
It is, but look, who'll want to meet Cork in the qualifiers, and the minefield that is the qualifiers, and look, we look forward to going to Limerick in 2 weeks' time to watching the semi-final. But look, we can learn a lot from Cork in terms of the manner the management carry themselves, etc. Like, so we're just learning the whole time as a management and players, and we're just keen to learn for the next day as well.
Congratulations, Derek.
Thank you, Claire. Thank you.
OK, well, it's Derek McGrath with Clare. And Liam, he can do no wrong at the moment with this group.
No, he can't. And he doesn't put a foot wrong in an interview either.
No,
he says all the right things, in fairness to him. But no, he's very calculated, very good. And I mean, he's drawn on the fact that, he's got this crop. And, he made some hard decisions at the start of this year. Some of the older brigade that maybe people had given sterling service to Waterford over the last number of years, and he said, no, I'm going youth, I'm going with the young guys, and they've come on board, they've really bought into him. I see Kevin Moran talking on the paper during the week where, they meet each other in school, they don't talk about hurling, but I'll tell you one thing, he's fully bought into what Derek McGrath is trying to do. I'll tell you, there's some steam train coming in Waterford at the moment.
They'll be talking about hurling tonight for sure. We've got
Derek is still on about bonus territory. But I think at this stage people are really beginning to smell the coffee and take them really seriously. The game was not a classic, but they stuck to their guns and they stick to the plan. They believe in their system, and it's bearing fruit, and why would they change it?
Yeah. And that's interesting, Donlow, because they did need to believe in their plan. I was intrigued. Cork started well and Waterford didn't score from play for about 25 minutes.
Yeah, like you said, Cork started really well, and you know, you could have said to a certain degree that maybe this was going to run to script, that Waterford had won the league title, but when it would come to championship in Thurles, that Cork would go on and win. And really, in the in early days, Cork's came out of the traps. There was a lot of talk in the league final as to how slow Cork were getting going, and we're looking at an example here of Luke Farrell. He loses the ball. You can see here he's about 10 yards off, but he gets back up here and gets the hook in the block in, and that typified Cork's early days approach to the game. Again, here you see Daniel Carney tirelessly fighting for it, and Cork coming out with the breaking ball. And along with Cork fighting harder in the first 20 minutes, key to them playing so well was Anthony Nash's puck outs, which were excellent. Early days. And as important as Anthony Nash's puck outs was the use of the ball. You see here the Cork players lifting the head, see Bill Cooper looking for his target and making good use of that ball. Pat Cronin had a fine game today. A lot of talk about him. You know, he's a guy that's probably been under pressure and wrongly criticised in a lot of situations. He was really good, and him playing well at the start was a big bonus for Cork. And Waterford were missing a couple of scores as well, so they were bound to be getting a bit nervous. And if you like, it's actually a better sign of Waterford that they came out and they weathered that storm, and then they got things under control again. And
but when Waterford came into it, they got the 2 goals, and in the end, they were critical, weren't they?
They were massive days. How do we quantify 7 points to 4 to Cork going according to everybody's script, but still naively set up at the back, I think. As you see here, 2-on-1, like in nearly the full back scenario, and Morris in behind Damon Callahan. Fantastic finish. I mean, a dream finish by Morris, but that's naive defending. And again, for the second goal, like an ordinary ball across, we see Brick getting in front again here. Now, Brick's not going to skin anybody from there and go all the way himself, but what a brain. He knows to draw in the man. Cormac Murphy stops, lets Jake Dillon run inside him, and Jake finishes to the top far corner. And I mean, straight away, the adrenaline, I'd say, in every Waterford player is just pumping, and he's saying, this is our day, this is our year. And I think the belief surged through them at that stage.
There's been football or hurling. If you're going 1-on-1, especially the way the referees are refereeing the games better, forwards are faster, you know, forwards in general are getting better. It's really hard for a defender in either sports to mark a person 1-on-1. And for some reason, Cork seem comfortable with letting 1-on-1, 2 against 2.
Should they have had a sweeper in your view?
I think you have to. In the modern game, like if I was inside in goals today and I was looking out, I'd say this is a recipe for trouble here.
Yeah, the plan was a lot to drop Pat Cronin deep, and that worked to a certain extent. There's still no cover at the back though with that. And Waterford were happy enough to let Ty de Burke sit back, and he mopped up the world of the ball.
Right. And we're not talking about a sweeper where you just sit someone in there, Des, and that they stay there, but someone that will cover the example of how Cormac Murphy...
move across. And
exactly. So it's like a fluid system is what you're looking for.
But in the wake of those goals, then Waterford, you know, Anthony spoke about you could see their chests growing, and they fought for everything.
Yeah, they fought for everything. You'd have to say that they were stronger, fitter, hungrier, better organised than Cork, and there was many examples. And you know, one man that deserves great credit is the Brick. How many times, look at him here today, taking his time, doesn't get too much of a push, but had the experience just to go over and win an important ball. You see Pat Cronin here, one of the few, because Pat has a good brain, one of the few bad balls hits into the Cork.
But this man has really taken the hurling world by storm as well. You know, Austin Gleeson, just look at that for confidence, like on to Moore and just pop off again. On to Bennett, left side over the bar. They really just said, look, we'll take you on.
Yeah, and showed no fear. And after the first 20 minutes, whenever we don't like seeing rucks, but they're often a really good indication of who is the hungrier team and who's up for it, like you said, Des. And time again, we saw Waterford coming out with those balls. Here, at the end, Anthony was talking about Gleeson having a no-fear attitude. This is the Munster Championship. They're playing against Cork, and he's playing centre back, and he's taking these guys on in almost a defiant way and saying, come on, let's have you.
A young man, but a great leader.
Young man, great leader.
Looks to have it all.
They didn't panic either. You know, they were fighting, but they were calm and cool.
Yeah, this is the great credit, I think, Des, to the Waterford management. You know, until Conor Lehane finally stood up, somebody stood up and caught a ball for Cork. The hurley slipped out of his hand. We get a 1-on-1 penalty. Horgan shows how they should be taken, I suppose, lower to the side, and great finish. Now there's only 2 points in it. Now Waterford of old maybe might panic, you know. But we see here, like, there's just confidence in the play. Noel Connors, great game again today, but no booming big clearance, you know.
Keep possession.
Picks out Mahoney outside him. Mahoney stops up, has a look, then he goes long down the field, you know, picks out the Waterford man on the run, who flicks it onto Brick, who again shows all the time. And we see right at the end again, Brick again, no panic, little Brick flick as it's called, onto Tom Devine, and Tom gets inside, gets a good hook by Stephen McDonald, but follows it up. And in times of old, they'd have clung on, where they drove on there and won, and that's real belief, to my mind.
Yeah. And I think there's what helps that calmness, if you like, is, you know, there's a saying in serious sport that the system is your friend. And it's no better friend that when the pressure is really on. And the last couple of minutes there, going back towards your own goals, that's a lot of pressure. But again, because the system is in place, those guys knew they could depend on that.
Playing with total trust. You know, trust each other, trust the system, management and players trusting each other, and that's when you're going well.
How significant was the sending off? It was kind of off camera in many ways.
Yeah, it was off camera. It wasn't really caught this, and I don't know. I couldn't see Cork winning the game. I just couldn't see it. We don't know for sure really what happened. It wasn't really caught on camera. It may have been a jab at a hurley or something like that. We have a small bit of an angle on it here. It's not much. It's a tangle. We don't know. The umpire obviously saw something that he thought deserved a red. Any jab of a hurley we see now is, you know,
yeah, you raise the hurling nowadays. I don't think Cork will be attributing losing the game to the sending off. I think it is worth saying, and all hurling people that know Luca Farrell would say it's not his form to strike another person.
All right, well, congratulations to Waterford. It's a Munster final, and it's a big bonus for them. I just heard here a few minutes ago, these two met first in a parade for a Munster final. Share the story with us.
He was in the band, Des.
No, tell the story. Anthony was an established Clare captain. You were young goalkeeper, first Munster final.
Yeah, I didn't think this was going to come up now, Des.
I know, but it was a good story.
Yeah, so it was we were playing Clare in the Munster final in 1999. Willie John Ring, who was Christy Ring's brother, was a mentor of mine growing up, if you like. And leading up to the game, he'd been telling me a lot of things, but one of the things he was telling me was, do you know Anthony Daly is going to become the only player, along with Christy, to captain 3 All-Ireland winning teams. So I suppose when I went out, was standing a few yards away from the man, maybe there was a bit of emotion came out, but
yeah, it wasn't quite the Artane boys band, it was the Mike Carkey Boris pipe band, so we were nearer to each other. So it's a fair bit of old Cork history thrown across, but I was kind of saying, who's this young fella? What's he on about? We were going for 3 in a row in Munster.
And you were protecting the Clyde history anyway. All right, then, well, look, it's time to name our man of the match. So who are the nominees?
Yeah, the nominees, Des, I mean, there was a lot of great performances. We mentioned Brick an awful lot. He showed all his experience. Anthony Nash, I think, had a great game. Great return for Brian Murphy as well. I have to give him a mention, 2 years out. But, I mean, the nominees, we narrowed it down to Maurice Shanahan, I guess. You know, there was a lot of talk about Pádraig Mahoney's absence and who'd step up to the plate. Maurice really stepped up to the plate today. And when Waterford needed him, he really was there. Have to mention Pat Cronin for Cork. Maligned a good bit during the league, stood up today, 5 from play, massive contribution. And Ozzie Gleeson, I think, you know, 19 years of age, where would you get the confidence he's shown at the moment? Magnificent leadership from the defence again. Young Ken McGrath, in my mind.
Okay. Not easy to pick a winner. Who did you go for, Don Logue?
No, not easy, Des. Maurice Shanahan scored 1-9 and was the most critical player today when we looked at it.
OK, then. Well, congratulations to Maurice then. Let's hear what he had to say to Claire McNamara afterwards.
Maurice, congratulations. Things are going so well for you under Derek McGrath.
Look, Derek came in and he set a plan in place and we're sticking to that plan. And things are going well for us. But look, we're up there now with the best teams around, you know. But we won't get carried away in Waterford. We'll stick to the plan, and if it works, it works.
You'll have the opportunity now to add maybe a Munster title to your league title.
Yeah, definitely. Look, we have 5 weeks to prepare for that, and Limerick or Tipperary are going to be savage opponents to us, you know, and we look forward to that. We'll enjoy today, back trend tomorrow, and we'll drive on from there.
Well, congratulations, Maurice. You are the Centra RTE Man of the Match, and Richard Galvin from Centra is here with your award.